Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're going to start this Ksubas daf Tez Zayin. We are going to begin with a new parak on Tez Vav Amid Beis. Ha'isha shnis armla o shnis garsha. So you have a woman who was divorced or a widow, and Rashi says v'toivas ksubasa. She's coming to claim her ksuba. Now he omeres basula nenastani. She says I got married as a basula, and therefore I should be entitled to $200, 200 zuz. You're actually an almana when you got married, and therefore you should only be entitled to 100. So the din, as we're going to see in the Gemara, is that we say hamotz mechaber b'araya, and she has to prove, in fact, that she was a basula at the time of her marriage to collect the other 100. Now the Gemara says, unless, if let's say she came out, and again, this whole question is because the shtar ksuba obviously is not here, it was lost. So we have to look for other proof. Well, let's say she came out bihinuma, which is going to be explained in the Gemara exactly what this is. Barosha prua, her hair was uncovered, ksubasa Messiah. So wearing the special garment or having her hair uncovered was proof that she was in fact a basula, that this was her first marriage, and therefore she would get $200. But if she would not be able to show that, there was no edom to that effect, then she would not get. Rabbi Yochanan Broika Omer Avchil Klo Yisraya, that they used to also have this custom of taking barley kernels, and they would distribute that to children at the weddings of basulos only. So therefore that also would be a proof, because that was a custom only done for a basula. Rabbi Yeshua, and we'll discuss what is he admitting to, what was he disagreeing with, and he's agreeing here. But a person walks up to someone and says, by the way, you see this field? I don't know if you ever knew this, but this was once your father's field. But I bought it from him. In that situation, that person who makes this statement is believed. As we continue to test Zion and Aleph, because there's a concept. Because the other guy never claimed anything, he never knew that his father ever owned this field. So you open up the issue of answering yourself or causing problems for yourself. So now your clarification is believed as well. However, if there's already witnesses to that effect, then you're not believed, because that's not a peshe aser. You're not the one that is opening up the problems for yourself. There's witnesses against you, and therefore you're not going to be believed based on that. Now the Gemara makes this diak, as we already said. Taima dik edim. The only time if she gets 200 is if there's witnesses that she went out bihinuma. Halek edim bal mehiman. Otherwise, the husband's believed. So lema tanan stam adol karba gamliel. Well, chayra, our Mishnah is not like the shita Rabbi Gamliel. Dear Rabbi Gamliel, ha'omer ihi mehemna. We saw countless times in the first parak that Rabbi Gamliel holds that she's always believed. So chayra, she's believed, should be believed here as well. No. If you'll tell Rabbi Gamliel, the truth is Rabbi Gamliel would agree to our Mishnah that she's not believed here. Why? Because Adkan look at Rabbi Gamliel hasam el babari b'shama. Only time we believed her is because she was a bari and the man was a shama, and therefore he said, according to him, there was other things in her favor as well. But bari shama bari adav. Abul hacha b'bari will amar. In this situation, he's also a bari. He says, I know that you were an almana when you got married. So since he's a bari, so her strength of being a bari doesn't mean anything, because they're equal and they cancel each other out. So even Rabbi Gamliel would agree in our Mishnah that she's not going to be believed. So the fact that what was the hava mean? Habari b'barihu. It seems pashit that Rabbi Gamliel would agree. The answer is no. Kivandu of nashim basulos nisais kibari b'shamadami. Since the majority of women, when they get married, most women are basulos when they get married, so therefore it's like a bar v'shema. Even though he says, I'm telling you, you were not a basula, but since that goes against the robe of nashim, so therefore maybe in that situation he's not believed. This is logical. The fact that it says Rabbi Yeshua agrees. Now, It must be that Rabbi Gamliel is agreeing to the top of the Mishnah, and therefore Rabbi Yeshua, who is the Bab Plukta of Rabbi Gamliel, is going to say, yeah, I agree to him with regard to this. So what is he being moided to? So where it says, Misa Rabbi Yeshua hai pirkin koi, amigu koi, va'pirkin kama koi. Actually, what he's doing is not talking about this mission at all. He's going back to a discussion in the previous parak. Now, what exactly is that? We'll see in a second. Let's first see question 7. He omeres besul nanasti. He omer loy ela kielmama. Ma hatam de modav Rabbi Gamliel de ozo basar chazaka de gufa gabi misher stani nanasti ma hatam de neman habal neged aroy. So he says, because hacha barihu hasam bar b'shem give the ein koil, which we're going to see soon. Shar ein made oleha itra la ruba. There's no coal, there's no Adam that saw this, so that weakens her situation of being a rove. Even though again you have rove women that are basulos, but how come no one ever saw these different customs? Right? There must have been enough people at the wedding to remember these things. Okay. So finally we said, no, it's actually going on a different pair. So which argument? So the woman was pregnant. So she definitely had bia. We said, what's the status of your fetus? So she said, so in that literally her stomach is between her teeth, which basically means, you see, obviously she had bia. So she has no migu. She can't say, oh, it was a mukas eitz. You can get pregnant that way. Ella, what's the migu? Aha. She was only talking. We talked with the machlokas what that means. So he's playing to be kainu. So she's admitting that she was with this man. What's the migu? She could have said, I never had relations with this man. I was secluded. Yeah, but you have no aid and actually saw. You never actually saw that we had tashmish, so I didn't have tashmish. So now that she's admitting, yes, I did have bia, so it's a pesha also. She should certainly believe in that case. And therefore, that is a migu. She can't say I didn't have bia. There's adim to that effect, according to this. Even though we end up saying, was the tiyufta on him already? Fine. He omeres mukas eitz ani. Now saying a mukas eitz will not passel you from kahuna. She could still marry Kain. But who omer lochi el durus isha? No, you were the guy. So again, I can understand where her entire claim by mukas eitz is I get $100, and his claim is you get nothing, because migudi boy amr mukas eitz ani tachtecha. I could have said I was mukas eitz after we were already married, after we had erison, and therefore I would be entitled to 200. The Islam Masayim Bekamr Mikara happened before Delaisla El Amana Mihimna. So that's amigo. That would actually make sense. According to Rabbi Yochanan, this is no. Even if you had your mukas eitz from before you were married, before the engagement, you still are entitled to 200. So then, what's the migu? There's no migu because that's a strong taina. Elaha hanayses isha v'lo matzlo basulim. So you have a woman, you married her, and there's no basulim there. So he omeres mishir stani nenasti. She says that I was raped before, from the time we were engaged already. But nistach bosadehu, and literally your field is flooded. In other words, it's your mazel. It happened before. So Though this is the maskana. Demigu di boy amar mukasetzani tachtecha. What could she have said? She said, I know you're not a basula. Oh, I'm embarrassed to say I was a mukasetz. That's a very strong taina. That's the greatest thing you can say, because you're saying that you didn't do anything wrong, and the loka pasuk nashim kahuna. You're not going to be pasuk the kahuna. The karma nenasti the pasuk nashim kahuna. Once she says nenasti, she's no longer allowed to be with the kayin. So misham hachi karma b'gamliel dim himna. Since there's this migu, so we say that she's believed. The karma b'yeshua b'gamliel no. Behind migu dahacha modinulach. The migu over here, when it comes about the field, that I believe. However, the other one I disagree with you. So michti, hi migu, hi migu, maishna hi migu, hi migu. If it's a migu, what's the difference between one and the other? If you had a better thing to say, then l'char should always work. Hacha in shor shachal lefanecha hasam hari shor shachal lefanecha. The ox is gored in front of you or not? What does that mean? So look at Rashi. Hacha gabi sada, by a field. In shor shachal lefanecha, there's nothing in front of you. Shiala alei balav, that this guy that you spoke to should ever think in his mind l'tavoya mishachtai. Kloimer im shasak zeh, if he was quiet, lo hayil oyrim, there would be no one complaining, and he would just be able to stay on this field. Hilkach, therefore, ilav the davar pashidhu, shilacha himenu, lo hayil oyrim lo shalavicha haisa. If I didn't buy it, I would never have told you that it was once your father's. Hilkach armina migu. So there, ein shor shachal fadecha. Therefore, it works. Aval gabi lo matzal b'sulim. Even though it's true, she has a better time. She could have said mukasetzani. Shor shachal fadecha. B'sulim sholo matzal him histimuhu. Level abeistin. So we know that he has a claim. He's saying, I don't understand. You don't have b'sulim. Now, v'yavavi sheish lo lahashiv taina toiva. She could have said something better. She could have said mukasetzani. So mizulu amrin and migu. The dimul oska adaita. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she didn't know that mukasetz is a better taina. And here's such a tremendous psychological word. Inami iramu kamayirma. She's going to trick with a weaker claim, and maybe she's really lying. Maybe mama, she did everything wrong. But she's like, you know what? Instead of me giving the best claim, mukasetzani, so instead I'll say that I was raped underneath after we were already engaged. So even though it's a weaker claim, but then, because it's a weaker claim, maybe she must be telling the truth. And that's actually what we say. The whole concept of a migu is that it must be this person is telling the truth, because you could have said something better. But maybe that's goofy why they said the weaker claim, knowing that people will think about it and say, well, this person must be telling the truth. It's an unbelievable Rashi. If the majority of women are besulos when they get married, we should still believe her, since she has a rove that she's a besula, even if witnesses don't come. So this is what we said before. So if the majority of women get married as a besula, Umiyat almanais, and a minority of them are widows. But when there's a basula, there's a koil, there's a voice. A lot of people know, again, that she went out behinuma with this special garb. So it was pretty obvious that she was a basula. So continue with the Gemara on Tezayim Beis. So v'zu, this girl hoil ve'in lo koil itro aruba. So there's no koil. Why don't people know about this? Why aren't there any witnesses that she went out with behinuma? Maybe that shows that she really wasn't the basula. Where it says, 1 second. If it's true that every single time a woman is a basula, there's a koil, so if every single time there's a voice, there's a koil, so there's no koil, obviously she's not a basula. Even if you have witnesses, those witnesses must be lying. Where says you're right. You have to change the language a little bit here and say it this. El Ravina Roiv Hanises Basula Yeshel koil. The majority of marriages with a Masul, there's a koil. Not everyone, there's a majority. Mazu hoil vein lo koil, itrol ruba. It weakens the roiv. Okay, good. See if there's this. Okay, right. So mish edim shelta behinuma. So belichlish. Why don't we have a little bit of a fear here? Dilma mafka edim mehai beidina begava. So maybe she'll have witnesses that she came out behinuma, and she'll collect the ksuba. Ba'ader mafklo ksuba b'hai beisin begaviba. She's claiming she lost her ksuba. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she's going to go to a second base and collect money twice. This is a proof that we write a receipt. In other words, even though the Gemara Baba Basra discusses this, it's a machlokas whether we write a shulbar, but over here, because it's certainly not something a person necessarily wants to do, hold on to a receipt for their whole life and guard it from achbarim, from mice, and it getting lost. But this is a form of protection. So in this situation, we're going to write a receipt and give it to the man. So this way, if she comes and claims with her ksuba eventually, he can pull out this receipt and say, you know what, I already paid her once, so I don't know what the deal is. Come on in a place where there's no ksuba, says Rashi. It's going to be hard to guard it. Skipping a couple lines. They don't write a ksuba. We rely on the Tanai Basin. So we're not concerned about that. So interestingly enough, there are actually some places that used to not have a ksuba. The Brisa. Some say a little bit differently. If the ksubasa, let's say she lost her ksuba, or hitmina ksubasa, it's hidden. Nisra ksubasa, it got burnt. Rakdulafanaha, literally dancing in front of you. There's witnesses at the day of the wedding that they were dancing. Sicha kulafanaha, literally they were laughing and joking. Havir lafanaha koshel besoida, that they had this special cup, which again was some type of simani basulos, proof that she was a virgin. Umapishel basulim, there was this cloth. So all you need is witnesses for any of these things, and the ksubah is 200. So it's the same question. Maybe she'll collect from Adim, and then she'll pull out her ksuba. Again, based on this, we're going to write a receipt and give it to him. We're talking about a situation where they did not write a ksuba. It says that it was lost, which obviously means it existed. So don't tell me it wasn't written. Shmuel says you're right. The kasav law ihu, that he wrote it. So mafgulav gadol. So aren't we concerned she's going to pull it out? Sumai ibda ma'or. It was burnt up. That's what it means. It got lost in fire. So we know that it's gone, and she'll never claim the a second time because the ksuba doesn't exist. Yachanu b'nisrafa. It's the same as burnt. The oid hetimina ma'akamimar. How is that different than hetimina? The su ibda lamuli. What do we need this whole case of it being lost? Ella koil ibda. When she claims it's lost, ki hitmina b'fanenu dami. It's like it is hidden in front of us. It will not give her the ksuba adi amri edim nisra ksubasa, until they say the ksuba is burnt. However, however, they're not going to hold on this brisa because of all these questions that we just asked on it. Imish edim. Okay. Fine. Imish edim. Maybe again they'll have witnesses that she came out behinuma. She's going to have two witnesses. There was 100 people at that wedding, so she'll get two guys to testify that she went out behinuma, which she did, and she'll find two other people in another city, and she'll keep collecting. So Murray says, "You're right. In this situation, you have to write a receipt. Haviru lefaneh koshel b'sayda. So my koshel b'sayda, what is this cup? So Morav Adabarava koshel truma. There's a special cup of truma. Mavir lefaneha. So truma is for the kohen. Kaloimer ru'uya hoysa zu echel b'truma. That she is fit to eat truma. Says Rashi, Inise sakayin the besul shlema nimsas v'beula shetipasul kayin machmas nos. That you're like a besul is allowed to marry a kohen, and that's why we give her this. Masra papa ought to what almana milu achel b'truma. Even if she's a widow, says Rashi, kashi almana l'kayin hedyet milu achel b'truma. Amar papa zu reishis ketruma. Reishis. It means that this is bilasai reishis. That just like this is the beginning, the first, so too this is reishis. Tanya Yehuda Imer Chavi Shel Yain Ma'avir Nofanaha. They would pass a barrel of wine in front of her. Amurav Adabar Ava Basula Ma'avir Nofanaha. Stuma. They would pass her in front of her a closed bottle. Ba'ula Ma'avir Nofanaha Patucha. For Ba'ula they carried an open bottle. So mine Aver Kame Basul, Aver Kame Ba'ula Navid Klal. It sounds a little embarrassing. To a ba'ula, you're going to have this open barrel. So the question is, just don't do it at all. And therefore we will know that she's a ba'ula. Zimnin the tafsa masayim. Maybe she's going to grab hold onto the 200. V'amr she'll say, Ana basula havoy. I was a basula. So how come you didn't have this custom of having the wine pass by? V'haidul avru kamei is nasuhu dis nisu. It was something beyond my control, says Rashi. Below Basin, we're going to take the money from her. Mishum de'ein edem ma'avir l'faneha. Amra istnusehu dis nasu. Shikurim hoyu ma'oinis yayin hamishna. They were drunk. So I know the custom is usually at the end of the wedding. That's what they do. But it wasn't my fault. Because they were so drunk, they ended up never getting around to that custom. But I promise you, I'm a basul, so I always typhus that Messiah, so I'm going to keep the 200. So that's the reason why we still do it, so that she cannot potentially say this claim. Okay, we're going to stop here. Question 8. Madua ma'avir lefnei ba'ula chavis psucha v'loi sagi lahu shel yaviru klal v'hainu hekerem b'basula. Again, so therefore, she won't be able to make that. She won't be able to make that claim. Okay. Question TA 30. Ha'ishish in this armel. Imish edim shiatza behinuma madua in choshin she'acher. The answer is either we write a shover and give the man the receipt, or b'makam shein koisvin ksuba. Atkan.